Hi. Um, when it comes to leadership, I think it all depends on, especially with leadership styles, I think it all depends on the school climate, um, things such as the data, things such as your teacher. When I say school climate, I want to say your teachers, your staff, the community, your students, your parents, all of that is included. And I don't think that just one leadership style will work for a school. I mean, maybe for a new school, but here lately, I mean, you're going to be going into an existing school that's had leadership changes before. So with that being said, you're probably going to have a mix of leadership styles depending on what that school needs and based on that school's needs. When it comes to making decisions with me, I find that I like to be more collaborative. I like to collaborate with everyone because I feel like there's someone that may know something more than I do in one area, or maybe have suggestions that I didn't think of. But when I collaborate with everyone, there's ideas and there's things that help to make it a little bit better and a little bit easier on you and help to make things flourish a little bit better. I like to consider suggestions made by others in groups. Some leadership styles, they don't like that. And some do. It just depends on the situation. I feel that in any situation, in order to build that relationship with some of the teachers, I think it's very important that you consider them into the groups and that you also consider the things that they're thinking as well. Because not only that, you were also a teacher at once. So there are things that you may not notice that, your teachers do notice, and that you're not able to be able to see that, and that they are. So being able to help or have them into that process and considering their suggestions really helps move things along. When it comes to giving orders, I don't like to give orders. I'm not that type of person that has that autocratic or authoritative leadership. I wouldn't say that I would be one of those people. I could be direct, but I don't think that I'm the type that would give orders. I like to consider, like I said previously, I like to consider everyone's feelings. I like to consider everyone's thoughts. I like to see what people or what teachers, what kind of input they have, because their input does matter, because, hey, they're first on the battlefield. They know everything. They see everything. They're there before we are. If someone makes a mistake, I don't think I would be that type of leader who would get down on anybody. I think first you have to kind of understand where that person is coming from. You have to understand how are they looking at things. Everybody's viewpoint is not going to be the same as yours, and you have to and everybody has different personalities, and that's okay. But I think that if someone makes a mistake, you just kind of see where the problem went wrong, and then you kind of sit down together and try to figure it out. I'm all about, like I said, collaborative. I like to figure things out together. I may not have all the answers, but if we can sit down together and we can figure this thing out, then it'll be better for all of us. I don't consider myself, if I'm principal, I wouldn't be the type of principal to say that I would monitor a lot of groups. I mean, such as your PLCs and stuff like that. I would have trust in my teachers that they would be able to do those things and have that choice and have that freedom. Now, let me tell you, that doesn't mean that if I'm in a school system or if I'm at a school that is failing or something like that, then something else has to change. I can't just go in there and give choice, but I can personalize it. I can personalize it on how the teachers are just by looking at that data and looking at the data from each teacher and then figuring out, okay, this group is okay to work by themselves, and then this group right here is okay to that we have to collaborate a little bit more so that they can wean off and start to make those good decisions as a group. But what I figured out is that dealing with in my internship experience is just dealing with teachers and stuff like that. You have to kind of personalize everything just as you do in the classroom as you deal with students and their learning styles and differentiation. I think it's important to also look at teachers in that way as well. So I wouldn't say some members I might monitor and some members of the group I might not monitor. It just depends on the school, depends on the situation. I would also like to, I think I think another important thing is that motivation piece. When you're motivating teachers, I think I am big on motivating. I like to bring things in that motivate teachers because I'm that type of teacher. I'm the type that likes motivation. I like things that you do, that the principal does for you. I like things that keeps you wanting to learn, keeps teachers wanting to be on the edge and providing that rigor and that academic achievement for those students. I'm that type of teacher, and I always like those new things. So I mean, the approach in motivating teachers, it just depends on your team members. It depends on what they need. You have to build those relationships with those teachers in order to find out what it is exactly that you need. Would I accept input with teachers? Of course. Like I said, it's all about building those relationships. I think that I would be the type of principal that would build those relationships with those teachers and just kind of get a know of what their interests are, what makes them tick, what helps them to be motivated. And I think when you start, that's what is most important, is building those relationships before you can start anything else. I think I could be successful by just helping teachers reach their potential. And that's in the academic area. That's in, the area of motivating, even the area of parts of the school climate, classroom management, academics, just dealing with the day-to-day things that help a school run. I think, it's not about giving those clear orders, but it's just about helping, realizing and individualizing, your action plans and your steps for each teacher, because it's not all going to be the same. And I don't believe in one shot. I don't believe in one frame fits all. I believe that you do have to differentiate just as you do for students. So I think you could be successful by building those relationships and also just kind of individualizing your approach. I think as far as when it comes to making the best decisions, I think, like I said before, collaboratively, I like to work together. I think the input from teachers matter. And a lot of times, depending on what school you go into, I have noticed that a lot of times we start to fade away from the input from teachers. Yes, we do have input in the PLCs, but then at the end of the day, you have this final say-so from the principal. I think that when you involve a group in a consensus and consider what they do the most and consider what they do and consider the things that their input, I mean, it helps to not only build that relationship, but it also gives you a bird eye view of what it is that you need to do for your school. I would say that my leadership style is more of that democratic leadership. I think also that I'm a mix of a lot, and I think that's good. I think it depends. And I think that it's okay to change as you go throughout the year. You're not going to always remain the same. Like, people change, so is your leadership style is going to change. It's not going to stay the same. It shouldn't stay the same. Your data changes, your school climate changes. So with that being said, I think that you have to be flexible. You have to be open, because you have to be able to know what your school needs. And when you know what your school needs, then you're also going to figure out what kind of leadership style is going to work best for your school. I think I'm a mix of all of them, and it just depends on the school that I would be at. I'm not going to say that I'm going to fit to one leadership style. I'm going to say that I probably have a little bit of everything. I am situational. I am democratic. I am participative. I am collaborative. I like instructional movements. I like to work alongside teachers, parents, and students. I think that's very important too. I also like to understand roles, like you say, building those relationships, with teachers. You're going to understand their roles a lot better. And then, like here, that's the big key. And I know I keep mentioning that, but building relationships is one of the key things. And then I think stepping into a school, if I cannot build that relationship with any of those teachers, then I don't think that I stand a chance. And I think this is the most important. And there's lots of different ways that I could build relationships with teachers, but that is the single most important thing that I believe, how to break the ice with any teacher. You have to feel comfortable with who's leading you. You have to feel comfortable at what they're going to do for you, and you have to believe in their vision. In order for them to believe in my vision, they have to know me. They have to know my personality. They have to know what I expect. So, and then, like I said, collaborative and those instructional movements, I'm big on that. Instructional practice is one of those. Your instructional practices, your data, building those relationships, those all come together when you're trying to decide what kind of leadership style you need, especially based off the needs of your school. And I think that's just what would make me a good, and I think a very solid principal would be being able to recognize that not one leadership style is going to fit for a school. You're going to be using different types of leadership styles throughout the year. You may stick with one, but I think you may change. And I know for me personally, that's one of the things that will probably happen, is that I would change my leadership styles throughout, so you have to change with what you have. Thank you.